Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the likety like button on the way in. So, for my crew members, I don't know if you remember, but there was like a post that I put out there maybe about a week or two ago about how there's just a lot of drama going on right now. And there's so much stuff going on. And I feel like the internet right now is so oversaturated with everything going on with Diddy right now. I didn't know if I wanted to talk about it, but it's been on my heart, especially now with the Diddy case and Tory Lanez. You guys, this is definitely, in my opinion, much deeper than the law. It really is. Like, I feel like there is a lot of spiritual warfare going on right now. Um, and also there's a lot of confusion. Okay. And I don't know about those. Hopefully, if you are listening in, you are a spiritual person. But I know the God that I actually praise does not operate in a spirit of confusion. And when there's a lot of confusion, in my opinion, there's a lot of demonic stuff going on. So let's start off with the Tory Lanez situation. Now, if I can be honest, I never was into Tory Lanez. I never was into Meg the Stallion. In fact, yeah, like they're out of my age bracket. So with that, I never cared, of course, when the big scandal came out that he allegedly powed, Meg the Stallion and her foot. And there was a lot of hoopla going on behind that. One thing that I do remember, there was two major things going on. People were saying protect Black women at all costs. And then at the same time, you also had people saying something was not right about this whole situation at all. And they were saying that Kelsey, which is Meg's quote unquote former best friend. I don't even know if Meg is capable, in my opinion, of actually having friends. She just doesn't give me the vibes that she's loyal to anyone but herself. But anywho, so what I do remember is that people were saying or thinking that Kelsey was actually responsible for this. All right. They said it was her. A lot of people were saying that. They were saying that apparently the residue, as far as the pow residue, they were saying that for whatever reason, all of this evidence was pointing against Tory, and no one was looking at the evidence of Kelsey, especially with what the bodyguard had apparently said during the trial, that there was two girls fighting and two men trying to break it up. So a lot of people were speculating that, okay, and was saying that something's not adding up. But unfortunately, in this social media world, if you actually think with a brain and actually say, instead of me just being a sheep and just going along with what popularity says, and you say something doesn't feel right, you're not protecting Black women. You're hating on Black women, even if you are a Black woman. Okay? Even if you are a Black woman, they claim that you're against Black women. So here we are. Tory Lanez reportedly has been poked. I don't even want to say the S word because I don't want the algorithm to mess up. And please hit the like button on the way in. He's been poked allegedly 14 times in prison. Okay? Allegedly 14 times in prison, he has been poked. And as soon as I heard that, I said, this sounds like a hit to me. And I don't know who, but it damn sure sound like one. I didn't know why it happened. Now, apparently, he is recovering by the grace of God, because I wouldn't want that to happen to anyone, but allegedly he is recovering. But interesting enough, after this happened, now there is new evidence, and apparently this bodyguard has stepped forward to claim Tory Lanez's innocence. All right. And saying that, yes, he actually did not do what they are claiming he did that gave him 10 years in prison. Now, I am going to play an actual news segment. So then that way we can actually see what they are saying. But there are so many things, you guys, in this situation. It's just so many layers to this that is really making me connect the dots on what the hell is really going on. What's the agenda behind this? Why Tory Lanez? But if we want to even get deeper, we can also say something like this, kind of similar. Now, again, I don't promote DV, I don't promote SA, but for whatever reason, in my heart, I am comparing this to Chris Brown and Rihanna situation also. And if you want me to explain why, I will explain it later on. And there's a common denominator between all of these people. And if you think about it, you already know what the hell and who the hell I'm talking about. But with that being said, let's actually play the actual news and their discussion about this. Is quite interesting, you guys. And let me just say this. If at all any of this stuff is true, and Tory Lanez is in fact innocent, and this man has gone through what he's gone through. I believe Meg actually took the stand, if I'm not mistaken. And for those who really watch the case, please, by all means, let me know. I believe she took the stand. Did she lie on the stand? Inquiring minds wants to know. So if this actually, this is some demonic stuff that you're willing to put an innocent man in prison. But let's listen to this. And fair use, let's listen.
Forward in this case involving Tory Lanez. We watched it here on Wednesday as the legal team sought justice in the case of Tory Lanez. They presented new evidence that suggests he never fired the weapon the night Megan Thee Stallion was shot in the Hollywood Hills. Lanez is currently serving a 10-year sentence for the shooting. The legal team alleges she lied about what happened the night she was lost. So let's take you right now out to some of these details here on Live Now from Fox from Los Angeles earlier on today about this new evidence being presented. We'll see if it has any legs in the courts. Let's listen into this here on Live Now.
Here, some really, really compelling new evidence that you've never heard before. Our legal team will explain all of that to you. We will have updates on Tory Lanez, Mr. Peterson, on how he's doing. It's really sad to see the situation that he's in. And we think it's time, enough is enough. It's time to bring the brother home. So with that, I would like to bring up our lead consultant, Mr. Walter Roberts.
Good morning. We are here today to bring to your attention some information Unite the People believes is exculpatory in Mr. Daystar Peterson's case, professionally known as Tory Lanez. Recently, we've been made aware that a member of the media, Mr. Gianno Caldwell, was working on an op-ed for the New York Post regarding Mr. Peterson's innocence. During his work on that op-ed, he became aware of some information in Unite the People's possession regarding a statement that was given to Unite the People by someone with information relevant to that case. The New York Post recently reached out to the prior district attorney, George Gascon, Megan Pete and her representatives, and Kelsey Harris and her representatives. The only party that responded last week was Megan Pete's representatives with a request for more information. A few days later, Mr. Peterson's brutally attacked in his jail cell. Unite the People represents Daystar Peterson in his appellate process. We filed an appellate brief and a writ of behavior.
Okay, I'm gonna pause that really quick. So he pretty much just said that they were able to obtain information. Sounds like information that have been hidden. Are y'all gathering that? Are y'all hearing that too? That's the way I'm hearing it, that it was information that had been around but just came out. Okay, and it was hidden. And for whatever reason, they were able to obtain this information And then here it is, days later, after obtaining that information that can pretty much prove his innocence, Tory Lanez got poked 14 times in prison. Are we hearing that? That's what I just heard. Put a 1 in the chat if you just heard the same thing.
His corpus on his behalf. The district attorney's office has already responded. The case is fully briefed. We're just waiting for the appellate court's decision. We were willing to wait for the appellate process to play out. But given that brutal, unprovoked attack, we felt it necessary to come here today to provide you with this information. It is our intention to make a request to the governor to either pardon or commute the sentence of Mr. Peterson, so that when he recovers from this attack, he's not returned to a jail cell, but that he's allowed to go home and recover. Not long ago, Unite the People was approached by a gentleman named Bradley James. Mr. James informed us he was working as the bodyguard and driver for Ms. Kelsey Harris during Mr. Peterson's trial. As such, he was in close proximity and he had privy to conversations she was having with her husband and others. Mr. James informed us he was not under a non-disclosure agreement or a confidentiality agreement and was free to speak with Unite the People, and that he was doing it because his conscience would not let him not speak and leave a man in prison for something he did not do. Mr. James informed Unite the People that he was a witness to the conversation Ms. Harris had, where she stated she had the gun, she fired it 3 times, Mr. Peterson grabbed her arm and knocked it down, and the gun fired 2 more times. In essence, Mr. Peterson never shot anybody, never even touched that gun, never fired the gun. This statement aligns with the statement of the only non-party witness to the case, Mr. Sean Kelly, who at trial testified he saw 2 women fighting, 2 men break up the fight, 1 man grabbed the other one's arm. Gunshots came from the passenger side. The passenger side is where Ms. Harris was sitting. This further iterates.
Okay, because you guys know I got to pause in between. So again, I never followed this case. I just heard bits and pieces here and there. So the bodyguard that actually stepped forward was Kelsey's bodyguard. They just said it was Kelsey's bodyguard and he's not under an NDA. And his conscience, aka God, put it on his heart to say something because he could not see a man spending 10 years in prison for something that he allegedly did not do. Okay, so this is Kelsey's own bodyguard. Now, interesting enough, I remember she did an actual interview, I want to say a couple years after this happened, saying that she had PTSD because of that incident. I'm like, I'm wondering maybe that's why she had PTSD, because she low-key know what really happened and she was afraid at any moment that people were going to find out.
That Mr. Peterson did not shoot Miss Pete, did not shoot at Miss Pete, or did not assault Miss Pete. It's just another irregularity in a list of irregularities in this case. For example, there were 3 potential suspects in the car that night, and yet the only DNA sample was taken of Mr. Peterson, even though unknown DNA was found on the gun. Why wasn't Miss Harris's DNA taken? Or was it taken and the information simply never given to the defense? Why wasn't the driver of the car, Mr. Jaquan Smith's DNA taken? Or...
Yeah, I'm going to stop it right there. Good questions. Why was this only focused on Tory Lanez? Or was everyone else's DNA and everyone else was tested for residue, whatever the case may be, and something happened with that evidence or something allegedly went on where they just only wanted to pin it on Tory Lanez, like this was a major setup? Let's continue.
Was it taken? And again, simply not given to the defense? We don't know. It should have been taken. It is Unite the People's understanding, regular LAPD practice at a crime scene like that, anybody who's there, the DNA is taken. Another irregularity. Why, at Ms. Harris's police interview, was a non-lawyer, non-family member record company executive allowed to participate? Highly irregular situation. Normally, we see cases.
A record executive? Y'all, come on, y'all. A record executive. A record executive? When does that happen? And this is not a demonic agenda, spiritual warfare here. Why would a record executive be there?
Strangers are not allowed in these things, but it was in this case. All of these things point to the highly irregular nature of his trial and his conviction. It is our contention that he was wrongly convicted. And while we at first were willing to let the process play out, it is our contention now that if he is not pardoned or released promptly, he may never come out. And that would be the ultimate injustice, is that he gets killed in prison for something he did not do. At this time, I'd like to bring up Mr. Gianno Caldwell, the media member who was working on that op-ed for the New York Post. Thank you.
Thank you, Walter. Good morning. Thank you for coming today. My name is Gianno Caldwell. That is spelled Gianno, Caldwell, Caldwell. I am the founder of the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety at caldwellinstitute.org. I am also a member of the press for almost a decade now. I've been looking into Daystar Peterson's case for almost 6 months now, professionally known as Tory Lanez. And after reviewing the evidence, the reporting, and the legal analysis, I've come to the conclusion that Tory Lanez was railroaded by the former district attorney, George Gascon. He was also wrongly convicted. I believe if Jesus Christ was Tory Lanez's attorney, George Gascon would do whatever in his power to ensure that Tory Lanez lost that case. Tory Lanez's defense team have alleged the withholding of its scope.
Here's the question, crew. Why would he be railroaded allegedly by the DA? Would the DA, Tory Lanez is not considered a huge figure in the industry, or he's not, at least in my opinion, maybe for the younger kids, he's not an A-list celebrity. I can see DA really going after A-list celebrities because that's kind of like a big thing that they can have as far as their resume and their career. But this is Tory Lanez. What did he have to gain to railroad him? Let's think about that. Tory Lanez. A lot of people didn't know about Tory Lanez until this case. Y'all put your comments below on why y'all think he allegedly railroaded Tory Lanez.
Tory evidence, prosecutorial misconduct, among other issues that I was compelled to write an opinion piece for the New York Post. It is true that last week, the New York Post editors reached out to 3 parties, one being George Gascon, Megan Pete's team, and Kelsey Harris. It is also true that Megan's team was the only ones that responded back for that request for comment. I had some glaring questions, and that was the reason for this op-ed. Things didn't make any sense to me, many issues in this case, and I was shocked by the lack of interest from the media to ask very simple questions. There were multiple people with gunshot residue on their hands that night. Why didn't all individuals have the residue tested, their DNA tested on the weapon? That's a legitimate question. According to the prosecution, Tory was excluded from the clip of the gun. And according to Tory's defense team, they said DNA analysis showed that there was a 0.01% chance that Tory touched the actual gun itself. Another piece that stood out to me, the call that the prosecution alleged Tory made confessing to a crime. I listened to that call. I'm sure many of you have as well. I didn't hear a confession. But what really shocked me about it is if my best friend was shot maliciously by someone just 2 to 3 hours before, I wouldn't have answered the call, or if I did, I wouldn't calmly have a conversation with the individual of it. And certainly I would ask, why did you shoot my friend?
Because they weren't really friends, but still, I was trying to sit up there because the reality is Meg was never a friend to that girl. Let's just keep it real. But the reality is I heard the phone call, if I'm not mistaken. To me, she also sounded like she was scared. She sounded like she was scared. So if I remember that phone call correctly, but it's amazing to me how they said he didn't even have a 1% chance of actually being the one who did the pow pow, and yet he still got convicted. And y'all want to think that the justice system is really about justice? At the end of the day, I'm all for protecting Black women. I'm a Black woman, but I'm also about protecting the right Black woman. Every Black woman don't have morals and integrity. Sorry, it is what it is. And I'll be damned if someone innocent goes to prison. And I don't understand why Tory Lanez hasn't said anything. But at this point, I would hope that he needs to understand that his life was almost taken and he needs to say something. Someone needs to go in that prison and let him actually give his own interview. And he speaks up.
And more importantly, I would never have given you my current location out of fear of you finishing the job. That was something that stood out to me. I also, in my op-ed, discussed Kelsey Harris pleading the Fifth Amendment. She wasn't accused of anything by Megan Pete or the police, and to my knowledge, she wasn't under any investigation. So why plead the Fifth? What also shocked me is the prosecution gave her immunity. For what? What did she do? Is there an allegation of her doing something? I'm not aware of that. Maybe some of you can answer that question today. During the time of trial, George Gascon, just to take you back to where we were at that particular point, he had just barely won a recall attempt. He lost support in many key demographics of voters. Crime was up in Los Angeles County. And this case would have been a silver bullet for him potentially winning.
Okay, you guys, real talk here. Let's talk really quick. I got a lot of people in my chat right now. Please get the likes up. Please get the likes up, okay? I literally went through drama today where they literally removed 1,000 of my views on one short, and I absolutely do not understand why. And I think at the end of the day, something is going on with my channel. I need for y'all to get the likes up. Definitely get the likes up, okay? Because at this point, I think they trying to shadow ban your girl. Please get the likes up. Let's continue.
Policies obviously were bad and people were harmed. So that didn't happen, and thank God it didn't happen. At the heart of this injustice is the misuse of gun enhancement charges, a sentencing tool intended for the most dangerous and violent offenders. In Tory Lanez's case, these enhancements were not supported by evidence. But George Gascon, interestingly enough, who is someone who regularly would drop enhancements or not recommend them, chose to provide enhancements to Tory. And in his case, in any given situation, according to legal analysts I've spoken with, he would do 1 or 3 years if he did it without the enhancement. That's interesting. Why did George Gascon choose to pursue these enhancements? You know, there's cases I've been looking through which George Gascon has pursued, many in which he utilized these enhancements. A couple come to mind that I would like to reference here. One, Raymond Danger Gonzalez, a Mexican mafia gang member involved in a premeditated murder of 2 young men in 2017. Despite the brutality of the crime, Gascon didn't recommend enhancements. You premeditated murdered a teenager and another individual. Brutal crime. Why would you recommend enhancements, but you would recommend them for Tory? That doesn't make a lot of sense. He also didn't pursue sentencing enhancements for the senseless murder of General Hospital actor Johnny Wichter in Los Angeles in 2024. There's a lot of issues with this case. Many, I think, that the media should be pursuing all angles of it. We should not allow there to be unanswered questions. We should pursue open questions without fear or favor to anyone. That includes Mr. Tory Lanez. In his letter from the Birmingham jail, Dr. Martin Luther King wrote, "Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere." If we take those words seriously, we must act when injustice is allowed to fester in plain sight. I founded the Caldwell Institute for Public Safety after my innocent teenage brother was murdered in Chicago on June 24, 2022. I stand firmly for public safety, for victims' rights, and for holding criminals accountable. But justice also demands that we protect the innocent and stand against politically motivated prosecutions. This is what I believe to happen here.
Politically motivated prosecutions. So, what does that possibly mean? Does that mean that they are saying possibly the DA was trying to make sure that by any means necessary, they won this case? So then that way they could hopefully get the votes they needed to be able to get reelected? Or is there something even more? Because in my opinion, that's still sinister and demonic as well. But is there something bigger going on behind the scenes where there are other powers that be that pretty much told the DA allegedly that this man needs to go away for a very long time? Y'all let me know in the chat.
When we imprison the innocent while violent offenders walk free, which is what George Gascon has often done, we undermine the very foundation of our legal system. Mr. Peterson was never given a fair trial, free from bias, political interference, and media-driven pressure. His continued incarceration erodes public trust and diverts focus from the real work of keeping our community safe. Further, while incarcerated, Mr. Peterson was recently stabbed in prison, as many of you know, a tragic incident that underscores the urgency of this situation and the risk to his life while this case remains unaddressed. Governor Newsom, I respectfully urge you to issue a pardon for Daystar Peterson, known as Tory Lanez, in a full and impartial review of his case. California must not be a state where justice is driven by headlines instead of evidence. And in the case of George Gascon, that was often the case. So I encourage everyone here to go to caldwellinstitute.org, CALDWELL, Institute, INSTITUTE.org, and sign the petition. This petition asks for the governor to pardon Tory Lanez. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you.
All right, I'm about to pause this. So interesting enough, he's talking about George Gascon, okay? He was actually the DA, the district attorney of Los Angeles County from December of 2020 to December of 2024. When I tell you, as someone who is from here, that man was hated on so many levels. He was hated. And what I mean by hated, even people who actually worked for Los Angeles County, you're talking about like probation officers and police and stuff like that. A lot of them could not stand this man. Okay. So if he actually allegedly, I got to say allegedly, did this for the sake of thinking that was going to help him in any way, it didn't work because he's no longer the district attorney.
Thank you all for being here. I know there's a lot of noise in the media going on with other stories, but I think that this is one of the most important stories happening right now today regarding our Justice Department. My name is Diana London. I'm the CEO of the Secret Weapon Agency, which is a crisis communication firm. And I'm also the CEO of a company called London Global Strategies. I am a member of the media as well. I'm a commentator on a few networks. And I also serve as an advisor for Giano's Institute and also another company called Promising People that is fighting to reduce the recidivism rate in this country and also to correct our criminal justice laws. As a woman who has worked in Congress on criminal justice reform, I deeply believe in law and order. I've worked alongside law enforcement. I've drafted policy to reduce violent crime. I've seen what accountability should look like. But I also know the legal system without integrity is no justice at all. When we get it wrong, when our courts fail the people they're meant to protect, we don't just ruin lives, we erode trust in the rule of law itself. That's why I'm speaking out today for Daystar Peterson, better known to the world as Tory Lanez. This isn't about fame. It isn't about celebrity. It's about fairness. Tory Lanez doesn't want special treatment. He's demanding equal treatment. And if we Americans still believe in a system where guilty...
It ain't just about fairness. It's about good versus evil. It's about God's people versus the devil's people. This is spiritual warfare, you guys. For those who truly understand spiritual warfare, I don't know if you guys have been feeling the energy. And for those who've been rocking with me since the beginning, I have told you guys this energy feels off. There is something going on. And I think this is not even the tip of the iceberg. This is good versus evil, okay? Like, I feel there is a spiritual warfare times 1,000 right now. So this is truly about the innocent versus the guilty, good people versus evil, God people. Like, Cat Williams said it, y'all. He said it. It's God's side or the other side. At this point, we really need to see the truth and God's people rise and literally be able to take over all of this demonic energy that's been going on. Yeah, I said it. It is what it is. I am a spiritual person. I believe in God. At the end of the day, we need to understand that if we sit up there and start looking at these celebrities like they're godlike, because that's what's going on. People look at the Megs, people look at the Beyoncés, people look at these people like they're untouchable. They're not God. So you guys have to understand that sometimes these people, as much as you love their music, sometimes they're not right. And they do some effed up stuff. And that's okay. That's okay for you to admit and still be fans of theirs. Because at this point, Meg is looking shady and evil as hell. If any of this is true, what y'all fans gonna do? You just gonna sit up there and ignore that an innocent man is in prison and he literally just got poked 14 times allegedly in prison? Is that acceptable? Just because y'all like the way she twerk and the way she rap? Man, get up out of here.
Must be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, then we must admit this case raises serious concerns. Because the truth is, Tory Lanez is serving a 10-year sentence for a crime that evidence, which laid out here today, overwhelmingly suggests he did not commit. Let's go back to the night in question, just like Gianna was just talking about in the attorneys. As the attorneys laid out here today, the prosecution failed to produce a single shred of forensic evidence tying Tory to the actual gun. His fingerprints weren't on it. His DNA was later found to be 100% nearly excluded from the gun, as shown in the worksheet that was provided to the defense late on the eve of the actual trial, after making a request for that very document. After trial, looking at this evidence, there is a 0.01% chance Tory's DNA was on the firearm. That's a difficult statistic to equate with the story as told by the prosecution, which may be why this was not present in trial. In fact, there were 3 people that night.
It also can show you how demonic media can be. Because for those who watched the trial, as many times as they have already said the probability of him actually having the pow pow in his hand, was that something that was like huge, a conversation that they talked about during this time? I don't know if that was the case. We're hearing it now, but I don't remember people talking about that. People had speculations, but I heard more people talking about protect Black women. So it almost makes you wonder why the media was so focused on taking one side versus the other. Not all media, but we do know some media was making it seem like Tory couldn't even have a fair opportunity for them to see his side of the story and what his actual attorneys were saying.
Night at the scene who tested positive for gunshot residues. One of those was Kelsey Harris, as Giano mentioned, the assistant to Megan Pete. According to multiple sworn testaments that you've heard today, including one from the bodyguard and driver with Harris on the 2 days of the trial, Harris admitted to firing the weapon during an emotional outburst. Tory intervened to de-escalate, not to harm. It is important to
Let me make this very clear, and I'm not going to sit up there and say the person's name. What if he really did do it? What if he didn't? What if he didn't? And sometimes regular people do evil stuff. But sometimes these celebrities will also do evil stuff to get the clout and the fame that they want. And we're not going to pretend that once Tory went to prison, Meg's star value went up, did it not? I would say it did. I would say it did. Y'all let me know what y'all think about that. So you can have an opinion and think that he is guilty. But again, I'm about balance and perspective. What if he didn't do it? Is it okay to have an innocent man in prison? Do you hear that they're saying it's less than a 1% chance that he actually had it in his hand? What do you think about that? And again, at the end of the day, you can have your difference of opinion, but to say leave that girl alone, Meg don't give a damn about me giving my opinion. It's a lot of people that gave their opinion, but I don't understand why you were so gun-ho on saying leave that girl alone as if you know her. Why are you so willing to protect this girl and you don't know what she's really capable of? It is possible that he's innocent. You want an innocent man in prison? Think about that.
note, the police did not fingerprint anyone else who had gunshot residue on them that night, only Tory. Why? Even more troubling, the investigation itself was a disaster. Bullet fragments disappeared, the gun's serial number was sealed, a move that blocked the defense from investigating ownership. Police failed to follow standard procedures. Why? Didn't mark shell casings on the road and didn't test others involved that night with DNA. This wasn't justice. It was a rush to judgment. Worse still, the prosecution knew the case was thin. So what did they do? They tacked on gun enhancements, just like they spoke about. The charges, these gun enhancements are meant for gang shootouts and armed robberies to inflate the charges and turn a flimsy accusation into a decade-long prison sentence. Enhancements are a powerful tool against violent offenders, but using them in a case with no forensic evidence, murky testimony, and a defendant with no criminal history, that's very important to point out. He had no criminal history. That's not justice. That's a political stunt. Let's be blunt. This prosecution had everything to do with headlines and very little to do with truth. It was about symbolism, not substance. And that should concern every single one of you here today and in this country. Because when the facts take...
Sorry, you guys. I got the chills when she said it's about symbolism, not substance. And what symbolism is she talking about? Are we talking about, I don't know, Illuminati symbolism, the all seeing eye, the almighty dollar symbolism. What are we talking about here? Just a thought.
Take a back seat to identity. When due process is sacrificed for public spectacle, we all lose. Just yesterday, a Los Angeles court ruled the Menendez brothers, who brutally murdered their parents, are now eligible for parole after serving 35 years. They admitted to the crime. Tory Lanez, who killed no one and has still remained his innocent today, whose case is riddled with inconsistencies.
All right, just listening in there to this out of Los Angeles as we're continuing to follow the latest. As you can see, exteriors outside of the courtroom in New York.
Okay, you guys. So it's going into the Diddy case, but let's be clear. And you better say that again. Auntie's got it. God is definitely listening. He's definitely listening. And for those who know, because I've talked to people about it, like it's been an unsettling feeling for me these past couple of weeks with all of this stuff going on. It just doesn't sit right with me. God is not, he does not bring confusion into a situation. If it's so much confusion in the situation, trust and believe it got nothing to do with God. And a lot of people were confused about this case from the beginning. A lot of people. And a lot of people, in my opinion, was banking on people just being emotional about just picking a side. And what's the best way to get people to pick a side? She's a woman. She's a Black woman. We know race and gender are the two top things that will get people emotional, where they will completely ignore the facts in a case and just literally go with their emotions about protecting someone based off of race and gender. We know this. We've seen it time and time again. So at the end of the day, they are saying, pretty much in a nutshell, evidence came forward. They had information. They found out some information. A couple of days later, they are saying that Tory got poked 14 times, which is why a lot of people were saying they felt like it was a hit. Then you have this situation where Kelsey's own bodyguard allegedly is the one who is stepping forward saying, I can't have this on my conscience anymore. I'm going to tell the truth. And the truth is that he did not do what he's in prison for. And so now they're calling Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom. I think some of you guys already know how I feel about that. But Gavin Newsom, they're calling on him to actually be able to pardon him or reopen the case, do something to reinvestigate this. Now, unfortunately, Tory has a lot of things against him right now. One, he is a Black man. Two, he's not even an American citizen, if I'm not mistaken, correct? He's from Canada. So I don't even know if they technically would even care enough, sadly, to investigate this. I hope they do. Maybe Canada can actually get involved in this, because if anything, at least open it up to see all the facts and put everything on the table. You know, I don't, Danielle. I don't, you know what I'm saying, with everything that went on with the fires and so many other things. They've tried to recall him before. There's a lot of stuff going on. Like, they've tried to recall him before. He's not, you know what I'm saying, someone who's really necessarily liked. And after the fire situation, a lot of the rich people, the wealthy people who was in the hills that got affected by those fires wasn't messing with him either. So he's not on a lot of people's favorite list. If you listen to Tory Lanez's recent album, he talks about everything that's happening right now. Did he do this album before he went to prison? I wonder if Tory, let's talk about it, y'all. Do you think Tory knew something or someone was possibly coming after him? Did he know? And he just didn't think it would happen in that way. But did he know that something possibly was going to happen? You know what I mean? We got to start looking at some of these people that the media and other people, certain media and other people try to scrutinize and make them the anti-person that is considered the bad person. We got to start looking at that. And are they really bad? Are they really crazy? Or are they willing to speak truth that we need to know? Because remember, they also said Cat Williams was crazy. And now people loving Cat Williams and what he said and how they feel like he's the ultimate truth teller now. It just took that one podcast to actually be able to allow him to just talk freely without judgment. And now people love Cat Williams. They don't find him crazy at all. So sometimes we have to look at these situations. Now, from my understanding, I don't know Tory Lanez music, but for whatever the case may be, I think Danielle, you just said in the chat, this man was able to crack the code. He was able to make his money in the music game without necessarily bowing down, so to speak. And if that is true, we clearly know they don't like those type of people. Certain people don't like those type of people. You know what I mean? But I find it interesting that this is kind of the same feel, not the same situation, but the same feel of what happened with the whole Chris Brown Rihanna situation. Again, I am not condoning DV at all, but they made him look like a monster and was trying to ruin him to the pits of hell, when a lot of people were saying allegedly that Riri, and I love Riri, I ain't a stan or anything, but I just like her style and things like that. But let's be clear, a lot of people were saying she was the one who was putting hands on him allegedly first. She was DVing him first. And I have told you guys time and time again, I don't condone anyone DVing on any side. But it's giving me vibes of the same situation where they literally made the man in the situation look like a complete monster. Okay. It's giving me those vibes. Let me see what you got. My thing is, even if we have to go back home, him to go home, and I say again, God is allowing him to go home slowly but surely. Yeah, I think I truly think people who are spiritual and people who are religious understand that this is truly warfare. I really do, which is why I wanted to have this conversation. And none of us were there. Exactly. None of us was there. But again, people get so caught up in what the media says, because they always say whoever controls the media controls the mind. So a lot of times people don't want to think for themselves. They let the media and the favoritism think for them. They let their celebrity think for them. So in my personal opinion, this is what's possibly going on in this situation. And I just want to have thinkers here who are really thinking about this situation. Again, I got 43 votes and 81% of you guys are saying that you think Tory is innocent. You think Tory is innocent. So that's what it is. And another thing, I'm about to end another poll. I'm about to start another poll right now because I have to know this. Do you think Tory was set up? Let's do it. Do you think Tory was set up? Because it's giving that someone wanted to take him down. Someone wanted to take him down. That's what my instincts are telling me, that someone wanted to take that man down. For whatever reason, I don't know, but someone wanted to take him down. And right now, this man is reportedly recovering from something that he probably, if it was only the grace of God, you don't really hear someone surviving 14 pokes. You don't really hear that. especially by the person they say allegedly did it, who had already taken allegedly one life before. So I would say he knows how to unalive someone, because that's what they said he was in prison for in the first place for the rest of his life. So the mere fact that he allegedly got poked 14 times and he's still alive, you can't tell me that's not God. That's God. So a lot of times when people have those type of experiences, they become even more fearless. And I'm hoping that Tory becomes more fearless and that he's no longer going to hold back, because I often wondered if he really knew who did it, why didn't he say anything? But maybe somewhere in the back of his mind, he felt like because he know he didn't do anything, that justice would prevail. But I don't think he understood that justice can be manipulated. Yes, justice can be manipulated, especially for Black and brown folks. It just can. So his lungs collapsed and all. They picked someone that nobody could question to put on. And a man, like I said, he's a child of God, and that's God's child right there. I'm telling you, you don't hear those type of situations, and people can talk about it. You just don't. So he's here for a reason. He's here for a reason. Yeah, they said he was a part of, and again, they don't play. Being from here, they don't play. If they want to take you out, chances are they know how to do it and know how to do it very well. So the fact that he survived it, that was God's grace. It was God's grace. You know what I mean? It's truly the good versus evil, you guys. So let me see what you guys are saying as far as the poll is concerned. Yeah, so far, you guys are saying, yeah, I did put a poll up, you guys, and participate in the poll. Do you think Tory was set up? Do you think he was set up? I'm curious. Yes, money does talk, which is why I put that in my thumbnail. Money does talk, because I truly feel like, and again, you know, we're dealing in a situation, sadly, that these type of stories, sometimes people are sacrificed, meaning that their lives are completely shattered just for the sake of it being a good PR storyline. So then that way they can be able to get more money and more fame off of it. You may think that that stuff doesn't happen. Oh, but it does. Everyone likes a victim story. Everyone likes an underdog story, but sometimes that may not be the underdog. That may not be the underdog. This is sick and this is twisted. But again, I am not going to knock anyone who may have a difference of opinion. Some of you guys may feel that Tory is guilty, and that's perfectly fine. As long as you're respectful, that is perfectly fine. I'm about balance in the situation, though. And as someone who is not a fan of neither Tory Lanez or Meg Thee Stallion, as someone who, I don't even know Tory Lanez music. I ain't heard not one song. I know Meg's one or two songs, but I don't even know Tory Lanez music. Something was never sitting right. And now at this point, for this to come out, and maybe people's conscience did really hit them when they found out that he got poked. This is going to be insane, you guys. And I just hope that the powers that be don't make sure that this gets swept under the rug and the media doesn't talk about it. I hope they continue to talk about it. He deserves for someone to look at this case again, and if it is in fact true what they're saying, and that he did not get a fair trial and there's no way he actually committed this crime, he needs to be released. And if I was Tory Lanez, once he's released, if they find him to be innocent, I would go back to Canada where he's from, do his independent music there. I wouldn't want to come back to the US after that. I wouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Like, that would be a moment to say, yeah, thank you, but no thank you. And do your independent music there. You know, because at this point, I'm sure that man is going to be scarred for life. For life. His family, all of them. You know what I'm saying? Tory has good music, even if it sucks to some. People rock with it. I don't think I've ever heard it. Maybe I heard a song from him and I just didn't know it was him. You guys, please hit the like button. Please, please, please hit the like button. It gets me in the algorithm. Please hit the like button. Sorry, Lang music is really demure. Okay. Well, yeah, I've never heard his music. What I did think is that they were definitely a weird looking couple. Tory Lanez looked like he about 5'2". Meg Thee Stallion looked like she about 6'4". So I didn't even understand that dynamic in the first place. I didn't even think it was a real relationship, if you ask me. I didn't. I thought from the beginning it just seemed like a very weird situation. Like it was kind of like a PR stunt or a setup all along. You know what I'm saying? Like I was like, what kind of, and not saying that short men don't date tall women, but it just looked weird to me. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? And again, let's talk about the Kelsey and the Harris situation before I go into the Diddy part. The Kelsey and Meg situation. People talking about protect Black women. Didn't Meg allegedly have freaky tales with Kelsey's man? Wasn't that the case? Or that's what they were saying, word on the street? Is that Meg sat up there and literally had freaky tales with her so-called best friend's man? So is it about really protecting Black women or only protecting the ones that have fame? Let me ask that again. Is it really about protecting Black women or only Black women with fame? I would love to see us really be on some protect Black women, whether they're famous or not. I would love to see us talk about protect Black women when it doesn't have a social media buzz or it's in the news. That's when I know that you legitimately and genuinely want to protect Black women. But you can't come at me with this protect Black women when Meg Thee Stallion allegedly has a crazy reputation when it comes to disrespecting Black women. Allegedly, she does. And the only ones that she's willing to not disrespect are people who have a higher power than her in the celebrity game world. Because she loves Beyonce. I don't think she'll ever cross Beyonce like that. But other than that, could be all bets are off with her. You know what I'm saying? Let me see what you guys are saying. Okay, so you're saying yes. Yes, that's true. Yes, that's it. Sometimes when people feel like they're more important than you, they feel like you're supposed to pick them no matter what, if it's your choice or not. That was my take of it. Got a point there. The Meg stand struck Kelsey to the ground. Yeah, I heard. We talked about that too. Like she just got brutally drugged to the ground. But see, here's the thing though. They drug her to the ground, not for the pow situation, but for other stuff when Meg, from my understanding, was guilty in that situation. Which would explain why she would be allegedly the one who did the pow if it really got that deep. What did Tory have to gain by doing that to Meg? You know what I'm saying? To me, it didn't make any sense. But again, I didn't listen to the case like that. So if you guys have a different perspective, by all means, tell me in the chat or tell me in the comment section. As long as you're respectful, I'm willing to listen. The same. I don't care. I know you don't care, Danielle. I know you don't. That's why I love you, girl, because you keep it, you give your opinion and you keep it raw. This is the pot I was talking about. Yeah. So yeah, you guys, all of this is giving dark energy. All of this is giving spiritual warfare. All of this is giving that y'all better stay prayed up and protect yourselves and protect your energy. Because when I tell you, I don't even feel like this is the end all be all. I think this is literally just the beginning of so much more to come. Like I really do. I feel like we have a lot more that is coming. And I personally think God even more is about to expose a lot of these celebrities. I really do. I do feel like that a lot of these celebrities are about to get exposed. You even have celebrities right now getting exposed about allegedly not having the money that they've claimed they've always had. I think God is tired. God is tired of the fronting and the BS. I think he's tired of it, and he's trying to expose it, but the devil is still trying to use whatever he can to try to maintain this world, so to speak. But I think it's really going back and forth with good versus evil, and God is about to show up and show out. I really do. Now, speaking of evil, let's get on this Diddy situation. Child, why would he have the audacity to even have his kids in that courtroom, especially those girls? To me, I feel like this whole case is a ritual in itself. Why would you even want your daughters, who I believe 2 of them, if not all 3 of the girls who are like teenagers, I don't even know if they're 18 years old yet. Why would you want them in the courtroom with all of that graphic detail that is going on in that courtroom? When I tell you guys, everything just feels so uncomfortable with the conversations. I mean, everything is being exposed. This is the prosecutor side. I don't even know how his defense is going to really be able to combat this. But again, I'm sure with all the money that he has set up there and paid them, they'll come with an excellent defense. But so far, the prosecution, everybody's saying Diddy done. Okay, it's very hard for me to even process the things that are being said. First things first, we know that Cassie has definitely been testifying, pregnant and all. Allegedly, they're saying that lawsuit was a $20 million settlement. $20 million, I feel like that's kind of low, if you ask me. But apparently it's $20 million settlement. The graphic details of these freak offs. Oh my gosh. Like, it made my stomach turn. It made my stomach turn. They said that Diddy had no emotions. He just literally looked like, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was no care in the world with Cassie crying and the things that she was saying. We found out, of course, that there is more footage as far as the hotel footage is concerned, where there was an actual. Now, let's talk about it, y'all, because y'all know I'm going down the conspiracy rabbit hole. There was an actual security guard at the Intercontinental Hotel where this all took place. Just so happens that actual security guard that was there, and they actually showed new footage of that actual incident where the security guard for the hotel came upstairs to talk to Diddy. Apparently, he actually even hemmed him up at one point, from my understanding, from what I heard. It's interesting that now that man is LAPD. It's interesting that he's LAPD. Isn't that interesting? That he is now LAPD. Oh, they're 18. I don't think that he was expecting questions and answers to come out while they was there. So I think I don't see how he couldn't auntie got it. And you know why? Because usually the defense, especially in that situation, they're prepared for what's going to come out. He knows about the documentaries that are out. So of course it would get even more graphic in the courtroom. I don't know. Like, I just found that to be weird. I would not want my kids to hear all of the things that they're accusing me of, especially in that graphic detail. It makes you sick to your stomach. It really does. But I just find it interesting that security guard is LAPD now. I find it interesting. And I find it interesting that he's LAPD now and this actual footage got released. You know, this is just my opinion. Going down a conspiracy rabbit hole, and this is for entertainment purposes only. All of it is for entertainment purposes only. But I feel like, because again, we already know that the feds, they take years to build a case, right? They take years to build a case. And when it's time to strike, they strike. Who's to say that the powers that be purposely did not help Cassie get her civil case together just so she could be the star witness. Who's to say? You get the best legal defense, the best attorney, so we can make sure that you get this civil case or you get your money in this situation. That would also start the draining of the piggy bank. And then when we hit them with this lawsuit, it'll be more of a draining of a piggy bank. I'm just saying, y'all understand where I'm going with this rabbit hole for entertainment purposes only, allegedly. I'm just saying, I feel like this was executed very well. And I would say that for a very long time, they were watching Diddy. Who's to say they weren't even watching him back in 2016 when this happened? Who's to say that security guard wasn't actually called into question back then? And one of the things that was beneficial is that he became LAPD. Now there's a cop on the stand. I'm just saying, and I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this trying to say that they were setting Diddy up because he's innocent. Hell no, I ain't saying that. I'm just saying that we know that the feds have a very high conviction rate, and they wanted to make sure that everything was wrapped in an amazing bow. Because you hear me? Can you hear me? Testing. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Put a thumbs up in the chat if you can hear me. Let me know. Because I see it moving. So let me know if you guys can hear me. Okay, Danielle, you're saying you don't hear me, but I'm not seeing any movement, and I'm still seeing people in the chat. Okay, you can hear me. Child, y'all know what that mean, honey. They said, okay, Chris Nicole, you talking too much. Oh, the hell well, I'm talking, damn it. Freedom of speech, you know what I'm saying? And everybody knows that you can sit up there and, speak your mind. This is for entertainment purposes only, allegedly. But with that being said, I'm just saying, I think this has been planned for a very long time. I think, in my opinion, that, I just find it strange that you are able to get this money from this man, but then still be a star witness to his case after you collect that money. Y'all don't find that strange? Y'all don't find that strange? I would say that's a little strange, but again, I don't know the law enough like that, which is why sometimes I still regret I didn't go to law school just to know the law like that, but I just find it strange. So what was the point of giving her that money and probably signing her life away as far as NDA contracts just for her to go into the court and spill it all? What's the point? Don't seem like there's a point, right? She got that money and still is telling everything. Interesting, right? So yeah, as far as I see it, as far as the prosecution is concerned, they're doing a good enough job to where I'm like, if this ain't some demonic stuff, I don't know what is. I would be very curious to see exactly what the defense is going to say. Now, I know the defense. Now, interesting enough, you guys, this poll, we got 16 votes. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Do you think Tory was set up? You have literally yes, 62%, no, 38%. So some of you guys are saying no. And again, I respect your opinion. As long as you're respectful, I respect your opinion. And I appreciate you guys participating. Now, let me ask y'all this. I'm going to end this one, and then I'm going to do one more, and then we up out of here. Did Diddy do it? Is he guilty? Now, I want to know what y'all think about that. Did Diddy do it? Is he guilty? Let's start that poll. But I just, again, you guys, even in the courtroom, there is spiritual warfare. Even in the courtroom. Now, yes, I saw somebody say this earlier, and literally I heard this, that they said Diddy has been reading the dang on Bible. Let's make this very clear. The devil knows the Bible too. Hell, he knows the Bible better than all of us. That's how he can get you and put you in your trick bag. So him reading the Bible don't mean nothing to me. You know what I'm saying? That's how the devil, the top devil man, Lucifer himself, he knows the Bible. Remember, he used to be an angel. So him reading the Bible ain't doing nothing for me. But let people tell it. One thing that they had as far as the defense is concerned, the opening statement, first of all, he had a black woman allegedly do the opening statement who also was a victim of SA, which in my opinion is very sickening to me. But again, he gonna pull out all the stops, and she's willing to pull out all the stops. But one thing that apparently was said in that opening statement is what he actually is accused of, from the freak offs to the baby oil, that type of stuff, that is not considered a crime. His personal business and what he does in his bedroom is not considered a crime. But then Cassie came out and talked about the essay and talked about the things that were considered a crime. So, yeah, I want to see what the defense is going to have on this. But as far as I see it, the prosecution is doing an amazing job. I do not know how he's going to get out of this. I do not know. What I know is that it's sickening as hell. It's sick as I don't know what. And honestly, I'm tired of all of this dark energy. Like at this point, like I am really at the point, I really want good people, God people to reign. Like I really do. We have for far too long just had very dark demonic energy, and people look like, you know what I'm saying, that was the way to go. Like you still can be a good person and be a godly person and be successful. And I truly want that to be the focus. You know what I mean? Like, and I think we really need to see all of these evil people and their evil doings. They need to be put out there so people understand that this celebrity nonsense and people thinking that, you know, these people are completely innocent because they're successful. Sometimes you got to look at how they got that success, you know? So she should have took the money and ran. Perfect timing, big pregno and crying. Yeah, like I didn't know that she could take that type of money and still be a federal witness. But again, if she's talking about, you know what I'm saying, like crimes, you know, then yeah, I guess she can. All being exchanged. I cannot vote until I hear the defense. Guilty, yes, but guilty of what? Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair, but I will say the prosecution is doing a great job right now pulling on people's emotions. That's for sure. They're doing a great job with pulling people's emotions. For sure. So I guess we're going to really have to see at this point on, like, what the defense is going to say. But a lot of people are saying this is not a tight case, meaning that it's going to be a definite guilty. A lot of people are saying that it is very much so possible that his A team could pull it off. But we'll have to see. But with that being said, you guys, we have been on here for over an hour. Thank you guys so much for listening. I don't know how many likes I have, but hopefully the replay gang will make sure that they make up for the likes that are missing. Make sure you guys hit the like button, subscribe. I just wanted to give my opinion, my take with all of the allegations and what's going on. You guys stay prayed up. And for those who believe in a higher power, stay prayed up. Me personally, I believe in Jesus. I am a Christian. I am trying to get even stronger in my faith. So I definitely, make sure I pray and make sure I stay prayed up, because there is a lot of evil doings going on in this world right now. And yeah, you have no choice but to make sure that you stay prayed up. And you guys just continue to pray for those who are innocent, who need our prayers. And I'll just say that for those who you may think is innocent or not, but for those who are innocent and are truly good people, God's people, please keep them in your prayers. So with that being said, you guys, let me know what you think. We can continue the conversation in the comments section. Again, as long as you're respectful, I have no problem hearing your opinion in the situation. The girl who spoke her mind earlier, she wasn't disrespectful. I responded to her, but she wasn't disrespectful at all. I don't know if she's still here, but I appreciate you coming, giving your opinion on it. But I want to know what you guys think. But for those Stan type of fans who feel like they have some type of freaking, I don't know, voodoo hoodoo on them to sit up there and protect a Meg Thee Stallion or these celebrities, and you want to get crazy, please just exit stage left. Ain't nobody got time for that. We're adults here. But again, I would love if you can be respectful. Give me your opinion. You may think Tory is guilty, and I would like to know why. And for those who think he's innocent, I would like to know why too. And what do you think about the Diddy trial so far? As far as I see it, I think we're in spiritual warfare, and you got to make sure that you stay positive and stay prayed up. But on that note, please like, share, and subscribe. And I will see you on my next video. Toodles.